I mean, first off, I just want to thank God, man.
Woo! Burrow had my ass! Woo! It's Mahomes' house!
I'm going to celebrate this one first, so I'm going to make sure I get back with my team. I don't think we have any cigars, but we'll be ready to go at the Super Bowl.
They posted a lot of bulletin board material. It don't mean unless you come in here and play.
So in case you wondered, are they listening? Are they hearing? Are the players hearing the stuff that's being said all week long? There's your answer.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely they are. And man, don't poke the bear, dude. And especially when you got Patrick Mahomes and those things. But I think, the players always chat. Like, they talk it up and all that. But it was the mayor that set the tone for this one. And you know what? That's who they're talking about. So the mayor, that dude ain't going to get high. You think anybody's going to vote for that guy again?
No re-election.
He's done. He's done. And to me, like, he stepped over the line. There's good things, having mayors going back and forth at Kansas City barbecue or Skyline Chili. Those are great things. But he overstepped the lines, and to me, they certainly heard it.
Yeah, we'll deal with that part of it specifically a little bit later. But as far as just the Chiefs, this felt personal to them. They knew they were 0-3 against this team and personal. This guy. This felt like a very big win.
But that is why it's personal. You understand when you start to get some familiarity with the team, and Rex knows this from being in the Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens rivalry, that familiarity breeds contempt. You start to both respect and hate your opponent. And when you've lost 3 times, and I said it on Friday, it's not a rivalry if one team wins all the time. In the last year, that had been the Cincinnati Bengals. And in that locker room and the talk on the practice fields in Kansas City has been about how do we find a way to win? How do we find a way to get over what has now become our hump? And when you think about the way that they were able to play defensively, the way they put pressure on Joe Burrow, the attention paid to Jamar Chase, the plays made on the back end by young rookies, this team played a game that had to be played when your quarterback is banged up. And to see your quarterback go for it all late in the game, get pushed out of bounds and put you in position to win, that was the excitement that we've seen. We also have to realize this team has been to 5 consecutive AFC championships, but they only have 1 Super Bowl to show for it. They want to finish the deal.
So let's talk, Dan, about the quarterback. So he's won a Super Bowl. He was valiant in defeat in another, and he was brilliant in that game against Buffalo last year. But if I said to you, all things considered, yesterday, that's the defining performance of his career so far, are you willing to go that far?
Yeah, after the first hour, yes. Because I'm thinking about the game, and there's every reason why Patrick Mahomes should have played okay or should have just played good, but not good enough. He has one leg. He's got a severe high ankle sprain. He's without number 1, number 2, number 3 receiver. They ran the ball for 34 yards, and somehow he throws for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. The longest rushing yard they had yesterday was 6. For all the things that I marvel about with Patrick Mahomes, the jaw-dropping plays, it was more the non-flashy stuff that stood out to me. More all right, I got to get the ball out of my hands. I can't move as much as I want or as great as I want, but I can move enough. And that's a little bit of that toughness to just get completions. Cincinnati was going to play a ton of zone because they thought that their pass rush was going to be good enough against Patrick and force him to play from the pocket. And then the final run was gutsy. I think the thing that stands out the most when it comes to on the play performance-wise, with all those passing attempts, the no receivers, and the bum ankle, Cincinnati's defense did not get a hand on the football. They didn't touch the ball one time. At some point, you think a batted ball happened. At some point, you think he's trying to do too much, throw back across and to tip it. The fact that he never got careless with the football, trying to do too much in a moment where he should try to do too much, I think was the most impressive aspect.
I think it also has to be said because there was so much talk about these 2 quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes severely outplayed Joe Burrow yesterday. For a lot of the things that we applaud Joe Burrow for being able to do at the top of the game as it pertains to his peers, Patrick Mahomes did those things better. When Dan is talking about footballs being tipped or popped into the air. We saw that from the Kansas City Chiefs secondary, from the Kansas City Chiefs linebackers, and that was because Joe Burrow wasn't as sharp as we've seen him, or the Kansas City Chiefs put him in position to not be, and Patrick Mahomes was. And so when we continue to have these quarterback conversations, or we talk about who's elevating in what position, we have to point to Patrick Mahomes in this head-to-head competition with Joe Burrow being the better player.
They got to Joe Burrow. That was the difference in the game.
The Chiefs defense.
Yes, and when you look at Patrick Mahomes, they never got their hand on they never touched the ball, no batted balls and all that. They never touched Patrick Mahomes. They certainly didn't touch him enough. And to me, I think the world of this Lou Anarumo, the defense coordinator for the Bengals. Mm-hmm. But, man, you had the wrong game plan.
Why? How so?
Because you've got to go hit this dude. I'm going to make sure if I'm going against him, I'm going to remind him he's injured.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit him so many times. I mean, if you hit him, I always say about you hit the quarterback, sometimes the whole team feels it. Mm-hmm. You hit Patrick Mahomes, their team will feel it. And that's what I would have done. I don't care. I would have given up yards. I would have given up. I could give up a score, but I'm going to hit the quarterback.
Meaning they didn't. And we talked about Jacksonville not doing much of this last week.
No.
After he was hurt. You're talking about sending extra people, extra pressure, even if he beats you on a play or two.
Whatever it took.
I think you're scared to do that against Patrick. For 5 years, we've heard, do not blitz Patrick Mahomes. And I think you get intimidated by that. That's just here's the thing. Patrick has the ability to do things that we don't understand. We don't. That's why I said last week, Joe Burrow was playing quarterback better. I can point to why Joe Burrow did not play up to the expectation level yesterday. I can't try to explain to people at home how well Patrick played, because it's such an outlier performance.
Yeah, I got to say this, though.
Go.
All right, one of the reasons why Patrick Mahomes destroys man coverage and blitzes is because he sinks, he retreats, and he gets back there and uses incredible arm talent. I'm going to make him do something. He's going to have to go on one leg, hobble back there 10 yards back. I'm sorry. You got to do it. He wouldn't be the same guy. There's no reason to be scared.
Hold the other thought, Ali. Let's stay on Mahomes for a second here. Let's say this. You and I both appreciate the history of the game as much as anything. The great quarterbacks don't beat you historically. They don't become the legends because they're more talented than you. They beat you with their mind and they beat you with their guts. And that's what Patrick Mahomes showed you. He beat them with his mind and with his guts.
But you also have to understand the way that a quarterback showing his intestinal fortitude galvanizes the team.
That's the point.
As a team, you rally around that, because if I'm playing offensive line, I know I have to hold my block an extra tick longer. If I'm playing wide receiver, I understand I have to manipulate zone, or I have to beat man coverage in the best way I know how, so Patrick can get the football out of his hand. If I'm MVS and I get the check down in the flat, I understand if he's checking his football down to me, yards after the catch is imperative. We watched a complete offensive team step up around Patrick Mahomes. But it's also Patrick Mahomes having an understanding of who he's been and who he could be that day. Yeah. He understood that I can't get out of the pocket every play today. I can't use my legs to extend all the time. I have to do it at the right times. And when he won the game from here and here, that's when you take that step to legendary. Now, we all know this. If Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs don't complete this deal, this will be a footnote in his story. He has to win a championship for us to speak about this game in the way that we should going forward.
I completely agree. They have to win the Super Bowl. I mean, they've gone to 5 straight AFC championship games, and this will be the 3rd Super Bowl. Yeah. To only have one win, the conversation will start to switch on Patrick. So I agree. He's phenomenal. He's the best player I've ever seen. They got to find a way to beat Philadelphia.
Okay, do we have time for the mayor? Okay, we're going to play it here. You mentioned the mayor and all the rest of that. The Cincinnati mayor had a video in which he issued an official proclamation requesting that Joe Burrow take a paternity test to confirm if he's Patrick Mahomes' father. It was, a lot of us thought, in poor taste. And Travis Kelce had this to say.
Some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You gotta fight for your right to party!
Well, right? I mean,
here's the thing, though. When you're the mayor and you basically lob the ball up by the rim, The other guy is going to dunk it. And Travis Kelce, who is from Ohio, got his opportunity to say, hey, man, shut your mouth. Know your place. And here's the thing. You can have fun going back and forth with other elected officials, but when you start talking about a player and who his father is,
it's
even
terrible.
in jest, it's a bad deal.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw Patrick Mahomes Sr. smoking his stogie after the game.
To call it cringeworthy would be understating the way I reacted to it. One way or another,
too.
I was delighted to see Travis Kelce call him a jabroni last night. One way or the okay, so that's what happened yesterday. Now, the other game yesterday, fly, Eagles, fly. Philly, flat.